All right, let's go ahead and kick off our second session of the day. Again, I'm Andy Harmon. I'm the host of the Application Development and Runtimes track. Um, we're going to continue the dive into what some of the things that Mark and I kicked off in that first session, and dive a little bit deeper in. I've got Dana Price and David Salinas on to walk us into some of the reimagination that we've done around the modernization of our Java applications. So, without further ado, David, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Andy. So, if we can move to the next slide. So, we're going to talk to you about, reimagination of Java application modernization. We're going to do a little bit of talking at first, and then Dana's going to take over, and she's going to be doing a lot of show and tell, which I think you guys are going to see the power of our words in action. So, bear with us as we give you the context, and then you can be razzled and dazzled appropriately. So, let's talk about IBM's strategy around managing and modernizing your existing Java estate. And overall, we like to put this as be able to maintain what you can, modernize what you must, and be able to build what you need. It's all around providing you the right mix and flexibility of options to be able to support your evolving business needs. So that strategy comes across in two prongs. First, around future-proofing your existing Java estate. And the fundamental question here is around Java 8. As you may know, Java community support for Java 8 expires in 2026. This is going to impact quite a bit of open source libraries and frameworks. To give you an example, we're talking about Spring, Jakarta EE9 Plus, and so forth. And really, so the question here is, are you going to be able to maintain those Java 8 applications with support from IBM? And get that support from IBM as you need. The other option, of course, is being able to buy some time to then migrate and modernize Java 8 applications to Java 17 while maintaining your existing operational model that you have today and have tools and accelerators to facilitate that. The other prong, of course, of this strategy is around providing you flexibility in how that gets materialized, both from a standpoint of an entitlement, deployment, as well. So, are you going to maintain those as to continue being self-managed, or you want to be able to leverage a vendor-supported managed solution, be able to have some of your estates still on-prem or off-prem or a composite of both? Also, as well, whether or not to maintain those as VMs or containers. And again, once again, a composite of both. At the end of the day, what we want to be able to provide you is support for where your business is today and where you want your business to be for tomorrow. And so let's talk about how that sort of materializes from us, IBM, as options. If we can move to the next slide, please. So overall, what we've put all this together is a reflection of many years of engagements with all of you as our clients, evaluating the market, and sort of providing a simplification, a flexibility, both from an entitlement perspective, but also from capability perspective as well. And we're providing this all under the umbrella of IBM JSphere Suite for Java. So sort of looking at these options, what we're trying to support is the strategy that we sort of enumerated previously, right? That's maintain your Java 8, be able to upgrade your Java as you need, when you need, and be able to support that with existing operational support that you already have today. Be able to then move those Java applications as you need from VMs to containers, and continuing being either self-managed or potentially as needed, being managed by a vendor. And probably even better, being able to have that vendor be IBM, right? As you can see here, high level from an entitlement perspective, we have a new offering called IBM Enterprise Application Runtimes for Runtimes, or EAR, that provides some of this all in the capability of a single purchase with that flexibility of leveraging as your business evolves and needs grow. And then alternatively, or coupled with that, a new offering that we are going to have as well, which is Enterprise Application Service for Java, or EZJ. One thing to note is that both of these options are underpinned with modernization tooling and accelerators that Dana is about to show you and provide that razzle dazzle that I was promising earlier. one thing to keep in mind as you consider which of these strategies you want to leverage, whether or not you want to be on-prem, off-prem, self-managed, vendor managed, is the transformative benefit that you get with each of those options. As shown here at the bottom, as you move from left to right, you get more and more transformative benefit from that modernization. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is support, again, where your business is today and where you want your business to be tomorrow. And so I think Dana's going to take you to the next step of information.
Yeah, and there was some allusion to the tooling that helps throughout that. And what's really nice is that the tooling helps you across your enterprise. And it addresses the fact that there is not a one size fits all. So within what David had just talked about in terms of our runtime solutions, both on-premise, in the cloud, self-managed, IBM managed, all of those options are available, and you can find the right option for the right workload based on the business priority, upon technical needs. And the first aspect of that is what we call our discovery and planning. And if you've been around modernization for a while with WebSphere and Liberty, that is started in Transformation Advisor, and we have a new tool that is called Application Modernization Accelerator that I'll tell you about. It's an evolution of Transformation Advisor that's broadened to address all of those options under one umbrella and be able to support that awareness of what your enterprise entails, as well as making those plans for the future. So I'll show you how that works and then show it in action. And then once you have made those decisions about what is right for your business at the right time, then we have code tooling, which allows for identification during the discovery plan and planning piece of things, the identification of what issues have to be resolved, including automation that will help the developer in making those changes, automate many of them, be able to use AI, genAI, in order to then assist through the rest. And I'll show you that in action as well. And the end state, this is a modernization is not one size fits all, but it may be that you decide based on what you discover that you'll maintain your applications on Java 8, as David was talking. You may need, because of technology dependencies on third-party libraries or frameworks, have to upgrade. So be able to upgrade your application, whether it be to Java 17 or Java 17 and Jakarta. What is right for your environment, and stay right where it is, but be able to upgrade there. You can deploy in those environments on premise or in VMs and get the benefits of Liberty, as we were talking about, being able to have those that optimized runtime. I know that earlier today in the first session, one of the really nice aspects of Liberty that came out was to be able to have the right size runtime and be able to have the technology needs of your application met in the smallest footprint and in the fastest startup, being able to take advantage of that both on-premise in VMs or in containers, and then whether you're moving to the cloud in a managed scenario or in OpenShift or any other Kubernetes. That kind of a flow allows you to reach the right end state for your workloads. So let me tell you about those. So as I mentioned, Application Modernization Accelerator, AMA, is an evolution of Transformation Advisor. So I will show you Transformation Advisor as a remembrance of where we have been with Cloud Pak for Apps and WebSphere Hybrid Edition. And in our new enterprise application runtimes and more and EasyJ, Application Modernization Accelerator has broadened its focus to discover the relationships between applications, their databases, and their queues on their on-premise environment, be able to discover those relationships and visualize them to better understand your enterprise, understand the development impacts of migration. So being able to see those relationships any common code amongst them so that that development effort can be understood as well as optimized, so that when there is change to be made and to be absorbed in a development process, that will be executed just once for the multitude of applications that are sharing that common code. And then the customization of the plan allows you to reduce your migration effort by having the tailored configuration artifacts. So your configuration of your runtime, if you're moving to managed cloud, that also means the configuration of that SaaS environment, and I'll show you how that works. And in the case of moving into a managed environment, it can include bringing your databases and queues with you. So I'll show you how that works as well. I do want to mention in the coding area, IBM watsonx Code Assistant, or WCA, and there are some sessions, I believe both tomorrow and Thursday, focusing in on WCA. I will focus in on how we have embraced modernization as a part of the genAI application within the IDE for our developers, so that not only will our developers have an opportunity to use the traditional genAI type of capabilities as code completion, explanation around and summarization of your application, generation of tests, and in the case of Java, we're generating JUnit tests, and also interacting in a live manner with the AI engine itself. We have also integrated watsonx Code Assistant with the output of Transformation Advisor and Application Modernization Accelerator. So what that allows for is your developer can live in their IDE, do the full life cycle of Java development tied together with our Liberty Dev tools, being able to tie together with the modernization experience, such that they can both develop new applications as well as modernize their applications to reach our the right runtime that they've determined in their planning cycle. So I'll show you that as well. So let me illustrate real quickly how all of these pieces work together. So Application Modernization Accelerator, as I mentioned, it discovers your on-premise environment. And that discovery aspect discovers your applications, whether they're running WebLogic, WebSphere, Tomcat, JBoss EAP, wherever they're running, it will be able to discover them, as well as, which Transformation Advisor did not do, discover their queues and databases and information about them to assist through the modernization flow. And then that aspect of discovery across all of the enterprise will allow for that planning. So I'll give you a demo of that so you can see that in detail. And then the migration plan, when that decision is made, can be imported directly into the IDE with the developer. So the developer can start in their source code. Prior to this, there wasn't any source code involved. The developer has access to the source code, starts in their source tree, imports their migration plan, and then they are able to use automation and genAI to remediate any of the work that needs to be done for that application to then reach its destination and then be deployed into WebSphere Liberty or Open Liberty. So that flow is one that ties very nicely between the products and enables the decision-making, the code changes, and then ultimately the deployment. In the case of Enterprise Application Service for Java, which is the new offering that allows applications to be deployed in an IBM managed environment, in the same flow, the developers still have access to the migration plan that's imported into the IDE. But in addition, and one of the artifacts that gets created as part of that is a connection to the cloud, which will then configure those SaaS services. So it will configure the Enterprise Application Service for Java, and Q as a service, DB2 as a service. So those managed services are in the cloud. And then when the developer makes their code changes, they store them in Git. And when they commit that change, their PR is merged. That triggers the pipeline directly into Enterprise Application Service for Java. So that full flow in a managed scenario enables the developer to work in their IDE, interface with Git, and then that configured Git repo then triggers the pipeline with Enterprise Application Service for Java. And then from then on, it's managed in the same way that they would make any updates to their application. Enterprise Application Service for Java also has, I believe, a session today and maybe one tomorrow. So you might take a look at the schedule for the rest of this week, and you'll get to see lots more details about that service as well. So let me then.
Here comes the razzle dazzle, everyone.
All right, so we'll start with what we've seen before. So Transformation Advisor is a tool that we've had for, I'm thinking, on the order of about 8 years now. It has done the discovery and able to assist in the modernization decision making and understanding of the estate. So it does allow us to choose different endpoints, be able to see common code, and identify dependencies on that common code, see where our applications are running, and get insights into what is necessary to move those applications. Application Modernization Accelerator relies on a similar process, but with that information is able to produce a visualization that shows the application and can show us details about the application that we're used to seeing in that initial view of analysis, but also shows us our relationships to our queues and databases. And when our application's not working in isolation, we can see the other applications that are using those same resources. And that allows us to understand across the enterprise, and you can see in this particular picture, I have a pretty big estate. I'm able to, not move that way. I can see a whole bunch of the environment just visually, be able to see applications that are standalone applications, some that have relationships that are self-contained, some that are using databases that are not a DB2 application, but just identified in any details about those endpoints. So I can explore and understand my estate, and I can drag things around to help myself understand how I wanted to, see the relationships between the elements in my estate. And then I'm also able to view some of the discovered aspects of the environment. So I'm able to look at connected groups that are inside, which will take a little churn. I'm able to look at this group, which is connected with 2 applications and a queue. I can look at other automatically discovered connected groups that are, in this case, another case like that. I can look here. This is a more complex one. It has 7 elements that were discovered, that these elements shared dependencies or connections to databases and queues. And I can see amongst them how those relationships exist. It also discovers clusters. So in an existing on-premise environment, when there was a cluster defined, I can see that these 5 applications were deployed in a cluster in WebSphere, and therefore it might be important for me to bring them together and cluster them in my new environment. And I can also create my own groups. I'm able to look at a custom group that I just created based on my own ownership. And I'm able to, it could be a line of business, it could be a application development team, it could be based on their technology needs. So applications, for example, that needed to deploy in Spring Framework 6 because they're moving off of Spring Framework 5, I can group those together and look at them and view the analysis contained within that group. So it allows me to understand my environment, be able to make choices about it, be able to choose based on each of those group what that particular endpoint is, and I can migrate them as well together. So I can choose an endpoint, and then I can deselect with my mouse. There we go. I can then migrate a full group together with multiple applications. And that migration plan is one that will contain configuration that will allow me to deploy across a multitude of destination points. The first element of it will include, and it's generating this based on my request, which is why it's taken a while across that group. It will include configuration that has taken into account what I had in my originally analyzed runtime environment. You don't have to have access to all of the source code. You don't have to have access to the development teams, but instead we're analyzing the runtime environment, extracting out all the configuration around that application or set of applications, and then converting that configuration so that it can be deployed in the new environment. So you can see I have a bunch of different applications in this case that are brought into one environment, and the configuration for that server is included across the multitude of those applications in a way that their features then are compatible. So we're able to have a lot of power in the migration plan that will allow us to create the server environment that supports that application. And then we can download that, can run with it, we can use that configuration and go. I want to show you as well, in the case of Enterprise Application Service for Java, when we do make an assessment about an application, it is going to be deployed into Enterprise Application Service for Java, which I'm wanting it to go to. My laptop is whirring away here. Let me refresh that and hopefully it'll be happy. Going to an assessment. All right, that's not the right one. Let me go into my assessment. Yeah, the ones. That one. Give me a second. You can tell this is a live demo.
We're risk takers here.
Oh yeah, I do this all the time. So chugga chugga chugga. My laptop is not happy with me as many things as I have running here. All right, I've got more, and I've got, I think my environment has changed underneath me. Yep, it was refreshed. That's Modernization accelerator. Well, I will be able to show you, because it appears that my environment changed underneath me, that in the case of Enterprise Application Service for Java, the migration plan will actually include a button that will allow us to connect directly to the cloud, use our API key, and move that configuration automatically into the cloud environment. So I just wanted to show that to you, and I'll use another opportunity. But as a part of all of the application plans, the deployment into Enterprise Application Service for Java will include as well the option to bring with the application any of the databases and queues that the application is configured to connect to. So that's a selection. If you're doing an application-centric movement of a self-contained set of deployments, then that can all go at one time. If instead you want to only bring your queue with you and then extend your network, you can do that as well. So let me move forward in terms of modernization with the developer. So in VS Code and in Eclipse, watsonx Code Assistant has extensions that are, I can show you here. We have two extensions. We have watsonx Code Assistant, which is the connection to our watsonx Granite models and allowing developers to deploy directly into, to interface directly with the Granite model in the chat and within the development environment across a multitude of languages. We have an additional plugin called the watsonx Code Assistant for enterprise Java applications. And that, excuse me, that plugin will allow us to do Java, enterprise Java specific activities with our source code. So it'll allow the developer to use all of the capabilities of watsonx Code Assistant, but in addition, we have some additional capabilities that are specific in the Java case. So in this case, I have my application, and watsonx Code Assistant allows me to explain my application at the whole application scope, modernize to Liberty, and upgrade my Java version. So I'll illustrate how the developer can import what came out of Application Modernization Accelerator and TA and be able to then make the code changes in the IDE. So you can see here, it recommends that I upgrade that migration bundle. If I do not, then I can do my analysis directly in watsonx Code Assistant, but I lose a very valuable piece of information, which is all the configuration that came with the application from its existing runtime environment and that has been translated for me automatically so that my application can now run in Liberty. So I highly recommend that you use the migration bundle path so that you don't have to go manually do all of that config translation yourself and start from scratch. So the first thing that we'll do is I will find my sample migration bundle. And what this is from the existing on-premise environment. I analyzed that environment. I made my choice that I want to deploy to more. I want to deploy, which would mean that I'm going to Java 17 and Jakarta 9 in support of Spring 6. I'm going to Liberty, which is any of the technologies on Java 8 through Java 21, and any of the specifications from EE7 all the way up to Jakarta 10. So I can make my analysis, make my choices, and create my migration plan. And then you'll see the first thing that it'll do is it said I can bring along my server XML. So that will be then imported into my source code tree in the correct location for this application to then build natively as a Liberty application. This was my original application development environment. And what you'll see is in my source tree now, I have my Liberty server XML. So that server XML was brought into my project by virtue of importing that bundle. And then I'll show you here. What it also has identified is much like what I saw in, let me get my piece here. If I have an application that I have details about the application, its complexities, any issues, then those issues are brought forward with me. But there are a couple of new things, which is my automated fixes, and those were identified in Transformation Advisor and in Application Modernization Accelerator, and they'll be brought forward here so that the developer in watsonx Code Assistant can apply those automatically. There are also assisted fixes, and those assisted fixes, let me show you actually in App Modernization Accelerator when we have some issues here. You can see this application had partially automated fixes. If I look at the details, it will show you in my analysis that there's a new little icon, which I'm looking for, and I'm not seeing it in that one. Partially automated. Let me see if I can find another one that has a good illustration of it. Some issues here. So in my analysis report, you can see I have a new little icon in that looks like it's a gear, and that means that there has been identified some automated changes that will help the developer in making those. Those bubble up here in watsonx Code Assistant so that the developer can see the things that can be automatically fixed. The assisted fixes are unique to the watsonx Code Assistant environment, and those will use the LLM to assist the developer in making changes. And if there are any that didn't fall into that category, those would be self-directed. The user can then explore the details about each issue that was identified. They can go to they can go directly to the file. They can look at details about it. They can get help that came from all of those reports right in the IDE, so the developer can understand what happened, what is required, and what the options are around it. In the case of these automated fixes, I'll show you in this case. I can get some details. My screen is hard to show everything. You can see that there were 2 occurrences of an issue identified in this file. So I went to the file. I can look and find within that application where the issues were identified. You can see here that the code was using some proprietary APIs that won't be available in that Liberty environment. And these detected line numbers are from the runtime environment, so they may not be exactly one for one with the source code because it was from the running application, and that may not be the exact version of source code that the developer's looking at when they're here, but it gives them a good way to get close. And then all of that help if they wanted to do it manually. In the case of these automated fixes, though, the developer can just hit run automated fixes, and we've identified that these issues can be resolved through automation across the entire source code tree. And if you'll notice that that line of code will be changed as a part of executing these automated fixes so that that application no longer has those changes to be made. So this allows our development team to skip a lot of the worry about, did I address the issues that were there? And how come my code didn't change? Because I was selecting it. I'm telling you, I have the demo gods here have done their thing. That did not change my code. Make sure that I have the code. Let's see. And go back down. And it did. I don't know why the version that I was looking at did not get updated. Maybe because I was selecting it. I don't know. Anyway, so the wows and the dazzling keeps coming for me as well.
And multiple dimensions.
Exactly. So that the code was changed automatically as a part of applying these automated fixes. And then the next thing is an assisted fix. And what that means is this wasn't able to be executed automatically on behalf of the developer. There's some reason, perhaps it was a re-architecture, a transformation of the code that could not be done in an automated way. I can still get more information about that issue and find my code somewhere. Where'd you go? Here we go. I can look at the details about it, but I can also get help. And what this will allow me to do is this LLM assisted remediation ends up being guidance for me of how to interact with and converse with the LLM. So what it allows me to do is that in this particular file, that there was a case of using a method that's disallowed. So there's one occurrence in that file. I can go directly to it. And I can see in line 29 that I was using a method that's no longer available. So I will have to follow a multi-step process. The first one is I need to select the code that is there and then click help me. That will interact. Oh, yeah. It is amazing. I'm gonna have to get my API key because I got logged out. So you know these things are live because nobody would do all of this in a case that's not. All right, here's my.
But these are typical challenges that developers deal with
Developers
on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly. So it looks like it logged me in. Good. Well, that would be quite nice. So I selected my code and then I'll click help me. And this is a guided LLM interaction that will allow me to interact in a guided way with the LLM, having taken advantage of some custom prompts that we prepared on behalf of the users. Oh gosh. Yeah, there we go. Let me try again. New checked. And just looks like I'm interacting with it. All right, it's there. So get back, do the right thing for me. Much like conversations with children, talking to an LLM can be frustrating at times. All right, so it looks like it behaved this time. And what it has done is it has rewritten my code so I can copy that in and paste that into my application. You can see I no longer use the method that was in use. Instead, it uses a new one. And part of my second step is to add the dependency in my POM XML. So I'm going to copy that code and put that into my POM XML. Come on, there it is. I'll add my dependency. And one thing you always want to do is to save your changes, because even if you try to rebuild later, it won't work if you don't save your changes. Trust me, I've done it. And then after I've done what has been required of me, I can rebuild and refresh. So as a developer, I got the guidance that came out of TA and AMA. I was able to then make the changes, some of them completely automated, some of them assisted. I can interact with the LLM for other issues if there weren't automated fixes or assisted fixes for them. And then it gets reanalyzed to confirm that now this application is ready to deploy in Liberty. I'm able to do analysis as well from whatever level of Java Java SE my application is running, and be able to upgrade it. So if I just wanted to upgrade it to Java 17 because I have a library that needs that level of support, I can make those changes in my application and deploy. So while we're waiting for that, yay, it worked. So we have Razzle and Dazzle. I now have no more issues, and then my application, I can run it right here in my IDE using the Liberty Dev tools. I can execute that. I can run it in containers on the developer desktop. So moving that shift to left in that your developers then can do things closer to what their ultimate runtime, production runtime environment is going to be. And your developer then has everything at their fingertips. So I think that is what I have for a demo, and I didn't know if we had any questions, but I am open for questions if people have any.
We did have a question around, is, WCA going to be folded into AMA? And, at this time, there are no plans to combine AMA and WCA as a single entitlement. WCA or Watson Codices is it's a separate purchase. Bring your own license. AMA is included, as we showed in the earlier slides, before the wonderful razzle dazzle demo. Was that AMA is part of EAR, or IBM Enterprise Application runtimes, and also part of ECJ, or IBM Enterprise Application Service for Java. And we posted that. We also posted the announcement for EAR in the chat, and we also posted the statement of direction for ECJ as well.
Perfect. And yeah, the Transformation Advisor is available with Watson WebSphere Hybrid Edition, with WebSphere for ZOS, and with Cloud Pak for apps. And Application Modernization Accelerator is available with Enterprise Application Runtimes and Enterprise Application Service for Java, as well under Enterprise Application Service Runtimes. Modernized Runtime Extension for Java is available as well. And there was a question that came up in the previous runtime session around more and how that works together with the WebSphere environment, which allows you to use WebSphere ND, use your admin console, any of your scripts, and the scripting patterns that you've developed over the years. Modernized runtime extension for Java allows you to create a new server type, which is a WebSphere server, but it's using Java 17 and Jakarta 10, which will allow you then to have a server in an ND cell. The only thing that's not running the traditional WebSphere version 8 and all of the technology of WebSphere ND is that server, the more server, and it allows you to deploy your applications in a cell, within the cell, in a server, or in a set of servers as a cluster that are all of Java 17. So I wanted to make sure we answered that as well.
It's the beauty of, you don't want to change your operational model, but you want to acquire the benefits of Java 17. More is your answer.
Yeah, and the tools help you across all of those, so you can analyze for deploying. You can see that your applications run Java 8. In the case of Enterprise Application Service for Java, you can continue to run Java 8 if that's all your application needs. If you instead want to move up to a higher level of Java, you can do that because you're able to do that analysis and move your application into that managed environment. Liberty is able to support any of those Java SE and EE specification levels.
We have no other questions at this time.
Okie doke. Well, thank you. And Andy, I think that we're done here. You wanted to do your
awesome. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, David. Guys, we'll continue to dive deeper into the new offerings, but as you can see, there's some really exciting new stuff, and truly hope that you guys are enjoying this as well. Please, feel free to keep connected to us. There will be a survey. Please answer, give us some feedback on how we've done. Also, stay connected with our Tech Exchange community. Coming up is our featured speaker, Adam Shire. Please, grab something to eat, grab some snacks, refill your coffee, and pop into his Adam's experience inventing and co-founding the original AI assistant, which is obviously Siri. And then rejoin us for the afternoon for another 2 sessions in our track. And then again, another reminder, our speakers from throughout the day will be available at 2:30 Eastern time for just an office hours. So you're free to jump in there, and instead of in chat, you'll be able to actually come off of mute and ask us questions, have conversations, and great usage of the chat. Thank you for inquiring about some of the topics that we're going over. And again, Dana, David, thank you very much. And with that, we'll wrap up this session and see you after the main 10 speaker. Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.